Welcome everyone back into Crypto's News. It is me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto, here to tell you what is going on in cryptocurrency today that you need to be aware of to make sure that you do the right thing for yourself, protect yourself, make sure sometimes that you're doing the right trades and you are just staying alive here in this crazy world economically. So welcome back everyone. I appreciate you showing up. I invite you to hit that like button. Thank you to 10 Pence reminding everyone to do that here in the chat. And those of you who are indeed smashing that upvote and sharing these videos is a huge help while we try to get the channel going again and started. I appreciate your support. There is a lot going on and I can't say that I can cover even a portion of it, but I will try to get some of the most important ones as usual to make sure that you know. Thank you so much, Green. I will certainly try. So let's go ahead and get started here. So looking at the prices, it's just been phenomenal. It's something that I was kind of expecting surrounding this. Just got hints. It's kind of what I was alluding to in my prior videos, that it was not going to be a huge rate hike, that it was going to be a 75 basis point rate hike. That's in fact what we got yesterday. And that's from the Federal Reserve during their last meeting before September. So now we basically have set ourselves up for a 2-month runway before the next Federal Open Market Committee meeting happens. And I don't know how many of you guys were watching that actual talk, but Jerome Powell did say that they're going to be going meeting by meeting. So I don't think they're going to be saying too much publicly that could be negative. Of course, things could change between now and then, but basically they say they're going to be just going meeting by meeting. So to me, that's been a huge green light, again being called dovish by a lot of analysts because it wasn't a 100 basis point move, it was a 75 basis point move. And to me, it looked like Jerome Powell was a little bit shaky there. He looked a little bit more uncertain than any other time that I've seen him talking. To me, it seems like they really don't know what they're doing, but they're doing the best that they can. Anyway, this has been something that's been pushing up the stock market now. We're seeing it happen with cryptos in a huge way, which again seem to be quite leading indicators. They were the first to go down. Now they're the first maybe to move up. Ethereum, I think, continues to be the real story here, the thing that's dragging the whole market up. As you can see, it's up 10% over the last 24 hours. Another huge gain. It's been gain after gain since we got the announcement of the merge, which we're going to be looking at right now. Hello, hey Keith Chamber. Hope it's beautiful and lovely out in Belfast right now. And Bitcoin is not lagging behind much as well. It's up 6.1%. And you have some other big climbers on the day. Solana up 10.7%. And you have Polkadot and Polygon up quite a bit as well. They're up about 10.5% each, and the whole market cap is up 6.1% for cryptos. We are well above $1 trillion again. We're back up to $1.15 trillion. And looks like ETH gas prices are climbing. They had gotten to a really nasty low. I think they got down to 6 gwei. So the price that you can see near the top right now is at 31 gwei. But it had gotten all the way down recently, I think like 3 days ago, to a really low level. There just didn't seem to be as much interest in using the damn blockchain, but that's changed quite a bit, as you'll see in a moment. But we are seeing that relative strength indicators are looking pretty hot. Let me go ahead and lower my face there so you guys can see. So if you look on the right here, you can see that we're almost at a 70, which is and this is on the daily, so we're looking at the RSI 14 daily. This is just showing that we might be quite hot and overbought. Of course, it's unprecedented waters here. We're basically, again, given a green signal for the next 2 months, and that's right along when the merge is happening for Ethereum. So I think this is the number one chart to be looking at. I don't think it is Bitcoin. I think you should really be following the moves that Ethereum is doing, since to me it's what's really leading the markets here. But anyway, I'm just trying to say that for the time being, if you didn't get the opportunity to buy before, there might be opportunities to buy the dip if we get some of these. And I do think that we could be seeing, we're not going to go straight up, we're going to be seeing some of these dips and opportunities to buy in. Dollar cost averaging just seems to be one of the best ways to approach this. And if you're not a trader, if you're not a huge speculator, this is a risky time, I do have to say, because there is a lot of suspicion that people are just going ahead and buying like crazy right now before the merge, and they hope to dump around the merge, sell the news. And so a lot of people who are not hardcore Ethereum believers or don't understand what's going to be happening with this 90% drop in issuance that could be driving Ethereum to be the world's most deflationary currency that we've ever seen, actually, especially at this adoption. If you don't understand that, those people will likely, or you, who if you're out there, you don't understand it, then you'll probably be selling, and there could be a moment there where you might feel some panic around that selling. But I think fundamentally, we have some really bullish things going on here that I think are being driven again by Ethereum and affecting the rest of the market and giving confidence again to everything else. And So yeah, we are also today technically in a recession. Looking at the last GDP measures, so looking at global domestic product, seeing its growth, we've had two consecutive quarters now of it dropping. But yeah, if you haven't heard, the White House has been trying to change the definition of recession, saying that's not a recession. Well, technically we are in a recession, but it's just so funny. Check this out.
Today.
If things are going so great though, then why is it the White House officials are trying to redefine recession?
No, we're not redefining recession.
If we all understand a recession to be 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth in a row, and then you have White House officials come up here to say, no, that's not what a recession is. It's something else. How is that not redefining recession?
Because that's not the definition. That is not the definition.
Brian Deese said in 2008, of course, economists have a technical definition, which is of a recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
I can tell you this.
Yesterday he said 2 negative quarters of GDP growth is not the technical definition of a recession.
It is
What
not.
changed?
It is not.
Why did he say that
It
was?
is not. I can
What's the
I can
difference other
speak
than
to
who the president
I
is?
can speak to what he said yesterday in front of all of you, which is the last thing that you just repeated. There are many factors. There are many factors, economic factors and indicators to consider, and I will say that the textbook definition of recession
1984
is not 2 negative quarters of GDP.
We are in 1984. We can just go ahead and redefine things altogether to suit our narrative, especially if we're trying to get elected again. Midterms coming up. It is tough to watch, CK. So I appreciate Gareth Soloway's take here. Let's take a look at it. Gareth Soloway has been as he calls himself, a veteran trader for 20 years plus. Oh, look, he follows me on Twitter. Woo! But yeah, people are looking at this tweet. I wanted to share it with you. GDP comes out negative 0.9%. Markets initially sell, then rally as investors love the falling dollar and likelihood that the Federal Reserve can no longer raise rates aggressively. If we're in a recession already, how can you possibly beat us in the face even more, Fed? Cannot do it. It's not going to be politically tenable. So risk on for now until the market realizes the Fed can't print us out of a bad recession. Bitcoin. It seemed like it was all daisies and good and green there with that tweet until we got to the last part. So he's basically saying that once the market realizes the Fed can't print us out of a recession, that things will drop. I don't know if he's trying to say that's negative for Bitcoin, but frankly, I think that's great for Bitcoin. It's going to really cement Bitcoin's case and crypto's case. A lot of these cryptos, some of these good cryptos that are limited really in either issuance or total supply that have proven to be adopted for whatever whatever utility they might have, or in Bitcoin's case as a store of value or a hedge against monetary debasement or whatever you call it, that these are going to be proving themselves as safe haven assets as well as risk on assets like we're seeing right now. But what I think is the markets are confused. They really do not understand what these things are about. They will be forced to accept them as we go through time. So I think Bitcoin wins either way, frankly, especially if they do reverse course. They will try to print us out of their way. That's the only thing they can do is try to print us. Right now, they're intent on trying to bring inflation down to 2%, but by moving interest rates up points by bringing up 75 basis points, they're not really doing very much, especially if they're going to be on vacation for the next 2 months. So interesting times. Vitalik Buterin came on because he went on Bankless. I've been following their newsletter and their show for some time now. They've been doing a fantastic job following the Ethereum ecosystem. They also bring on Bitcoiners sometimes, and they have fantastic guests. But they had Vitalik Buterin on yesterday. And so people are looking at this one little part of it where he talked about the merge and whether it's priced in or not. Are we toppy right now? Is 1750 or whatever going to be the ultimate price? And I wanted to show that for you so we could go ahead and document it here on YouTube for you somewhere else.
Way up, right? Like I basically expect that the merge is going to be kind of not priced in, by which I mean like not even just like market terms, but even just kind of like psychological and narrative terms. Like
Yeah,
pretty
careful
much
with that word.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like in kind of like in narrative terms, I think it's not going to be priced in like pretty much until like after it happens. Like there's like we see even today like a lot of people kind of act as though, hey, this environmental issue is this fatal flaw, and yeah, sure, Ethereum mumbles some noises about proof of stake, but come on, they've been saying that since forever, and it's not going anywhere. But like, no, it's going to go somewhere.
Right.
And at this point, I think the only way to just convince a huge number of people that it's going to go somewhere is just by actually going there.
Sure.
But let's get there. We are actually just about to get there, because there have been 3 major test nets that have had to perform the merge before the main one happens, because we don't want anything to go wrong. That's why this has been delayed. That's why it's been such a process. But today, as you can see in the title, we just got the announcement of the final test net that will be merging, the Goerli/Prater merge announcement. So the Prater being the beacon chain, Goerli being the OG chain, you could call it, and they are going to come together for the last time. Everything goes well, then we are going to be getting a date for the official merge. We've heard from Tim Bako, this wide talked about rumored date that it's going to be on September 19th, but as it says here, as of the publication of this post, the time for the Ethereum mainnet proof of stake transition has not been set. So it could be September 19th. It could be afterwards. I guess it could be before that. It looks like we're going to be getting this final testnet happening very soon, within the week. It's expected to happen between August 6th and 12th. Today is July 28th. So rather short notice, but here we are. They have to update both nodes. They have to do the OG chain, do the bacon chain, and make sure that everything is fine before this final one goes through, because the merge is coming up, and the merge is going to it's going to be the biggest change that Ethereum has ever had, and it's been the focus for Ethereum since the very beginning, when it was first called Casper or Serenity. It's had many names and many different iterations, and even entire blueprints that have had to be scrapped to finally get to this point that's coming up. And that's why you're seeing this massive excitement that it is in fact happening. And as Vitalik said, that's just the best way to prove to people that it's happening, is to go ahead and do it. And then you will not be able to deny that this is the blockchain that perhaps has been able to finally fix the 3-prong thing of blockchains that has been evading most blockchains to have happen. So I also thought this was of note. So if you're someone who's been, for example, following these forks and seeing what happens with them, sometimes you have one fork that might have some value for a while. It might have a community that attaches to it, and that very well could happen with this fork that's coming up for Ethereum. If you have some sort of team or group of people that want to go ahead and keep an old version of this Ethereum, if you don't believe it's Ethereum Classic, which already exists, by the way. And Ethereum Classic has been one of the big performers. Let's see, where is it now? Wow, it went from last time we looked at it, I think I was on 26th place here on CoinGecko. Now it's up to number 19th. Ethereum Classic is up 80% over the last week. It's up 3.6% in the last 24 hours. I'll admit I did take a little bit of a stake on that, because that's one of those trades. I did a video recently called the Ethereum Classic trade, but it's one of those trades that I've been looking at since the beginning when I was first getting into this. The expectation that when Ethereum moves to proof of stake, that the old proof of work chain version of Ethereum that would pump the most is Ethereum Classic, if only for narrative reasons. And that's, I mean, as ridiculous as it seems, and whether you want to break it down fundamentally or whether people are going to stick around or not, it's just, that's not how crypto trades. Crypto trades on narratives, like Vitalik was also saying. So this has been a big narrative move, and luckily it's been one that's been playing out somewhat. I didn't put a huge amount. In fact, I don't have much to invest, but I put a small amount in there, and that's done nicely. Hopefully for you it has as well. But there could be something else coming up if you're able to follow this narrative. I think Ryan Sean Adams was trying to get at here. So he asked on Twitter, anyone planning to maintain a proof of work fork of pre-merge Ethereum? So like the current version of Ethereum feels like an easy scam for some enterprising young chap. So surely someone will probably try to do this. If this was 2017, there would have been several competing forks of this, or attempts at keeping the name alive. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this happen between now and then, seeing some sort of coalitions come to life, and the opportunities for you to maybe have coins on 2 different chains, depending on whether exchanges want to adopt it or not. Of course, I don't think any other minority chain would really survive, considering that they just would not have they would not have the backing or the infrastructure behind any of these tokens. As I've said many times, that's one of the problems that I have with Pulse Chain, for example, the Richard Hart chain, is that it's not going to be like, if you have USDC and you fork it, you're not going to have reserve dollars that are backing the minority chain, because you can't just split that way. It doesn't work. And a lot of these DeFi mechanisms that exist that are tethered together would just fall apart, this kind of scenario. But that's not to say that a minority fork could not survive and create something of its own, although it would be probably fall behind since the majority of the community would stick with the majority chain. But I just thought it was pretty funny here because in relation to this tweet, Dr. Pleb, he said this down below. Please explain how this would be a scam. Feels more like an unwanted threat that scares you. So it sounds like Dr. Pleb is probably going to be the one that's going to be heading this up, at least from the way that he is communicating down here. Let me know if you guys have heard anything in relation to that, and it'll be interesting to follow. So yesterday we had a huge, this happened out of nowhere. I just wanted to bring it up since I always like to let you know some of the major things going on. But Ethereum daily transaction count almost hit an all-time high around the Fed announcement, which is kind of baffling. It wasn't like some sort of massive NFT drop. It wasn't some sort of ICO. It was just a lot of transactions that took place. That's not necessarily to say that they were huge transactions or very complicated transactions. This is a sheer number of transactions. Was this an attack, like from bots or something? Attack. Anyone has to pay to be included in a block. So I'm one of those who doesn't believe that there's such thing as spam on a network like Ethereum. As long as they're charging fees, I think if you're paying the fees, you should be allowed to push your transaction. So therefore, it's not spam, unless. I mean, there are malicious ways to do it, but you get what I'm getting at. I have not been able to get to the bottom of this and find a source as to why this happened. But again, if you hear anything, please let us know in the comments down below. This just came out. So we're hearing right now from customer.io that there has been a breach. This is related to the OpenSea incident when a bunch of OpenSea NFT marketplace email addresses were leaked. And now it turns out we're hearing that the same thing has happened to Celsius, who is also working with customer.io, who basically pushes text messages and emails to clients, to customers. So I just got this email from Celsius saying, so it just doesn't get better for Celsius, who is constantly being sued right now after going under and freezing withdrawals and going through Chapter 11 bankruptcy and yada yada, as we've been talking about. But it has not let up for them. And frankly, I think it sucks that all these lawsuits are happening, because the more lawsuits that take place, the more funds are going to have to be diverted from actual customers, the unsecured creditors, whatever you want to call them, instead wasting time paying employees and running the company as they still are right now and going through legal court battles. But anyway, Celsius just wrote this email. We are writing to let you know that we were recently informed by our vendor, customer.io, that one of their employees accessed a list of Celsius client email addresses. So your email address could have been leaked, and likely was leaked if you're a Celsius customer. So this was held on customer.io platforms and transferred to a third party. Apparently, this is not a high-risk incident since it was just email addresses. They apparently didn't get your phone number or your name, although it's probably been leaked countless times if you've been in crypto and using these sites for some time at some point. For example, like the Ledger hardware wallet leaks that took place a while ago. But just be aware that there could be phishing emails coming to you from OpenSea or from others. Be very careful not to download any sort of zip files or any files at all from unsolicited sites. Double check that you're clicking on the right website. Watch out any links that you click on that might be linked to Celsius or something else, because usually this results in attacks. This kind of information gets sold on the deep web or is used by hackers, parties, phishers, whatever, to try to take advantage of you. And there are, for example, I heard recently about an exploit that involves screensavers. It downloads a screensaver file. I think it's SCR is the extension file type, and it can take over your computer and will go ahead and keylog everything. It will copy your screen. It'll copy your IP address, and that could make you very open to attacks. It also probes your computer for what different kinds of wallets, for example, MetaMask, to be able to steal your information. So you always have to be on top of your security in crypto, especially if you're a big believer in self-custody. And with companies like Celsius going down, I think there's a real big case now for self-custody where you hold your own keys, but that's also not without incident frequently, especially if you're not careful. So just be aware of that and be very careful. This is because of some sort of employee who apparently stole this information, an employee. So just be aware of that. Anyway, If you're wondering about your Coinbase, maybe you have ETH staked on Coinbase. I shared this on Twitter yesterday. I do see that it does seem to be the plan with Coinbase that if you have ETH staked for Ethereum 2.0 for the launch and you can't move it right now, it's locked up there, and you do want access to that funds, or you want to be able to trade it like you might with the derivative STF, which is the Lido version of staked Ether. So they basically created a second token, a mini-me, a copy token that would allow you to trade that token while the original token is still locked up. And those who hold this other derivative token would have a claim on the original Ethereum tokens once they are allowed to release following the merge. So the merge is going to be happening again. We don't know the exact date, maybe sometime in September, but the first major upgrade after the merge is expected to be the one where you will be able to withdraw that. But if you want to get access to that and you have funds on Coinbase, it does seem to be the plan that Coinbase wants to create some sort of derivative token or some sort of way to trade your staked ETH, as they say here on their guide on the Ethereum 2.0 staking section of their application. Staking ETH with Coinbase, support Ethereum 2.0 by staking your ETH and earning rewards. If you look at the section 2 there, they say trade your staked ETH. In the future, we plan to enable a way for customers to trade staked ETH. So this obviously would have to happen before the actual allowance of these withdrawals to take place following the merge. So sometime between, I would say, now and I guess 6 to 12 months from now, there could be the opportunity for you to get access to those funds if that's something of use to you. Although that may not happen, especially now with the SEC purportedly investigating Coinbase for listing unregistered securities, which has been one of the big stories over the last week playing out. That's caused all sorts of drama for Coinbase, even resulting in Cathie Woods and her funds, her ARK investment funds and technology funds, to dump huge amounts of Coinbase shares. They were the third largest holders of Coinbase shares and have sold huge amounts, dumping the price something like 33% in one day because of the sell. Yeah, it's just not been the nicest week for Coinbase. It's resulted in a lot of continued FUD against Coinbase. People really, really scared. They're like, I want to take my ETH, for example. I'm seeing this come out a lot. I want to take my ETH out of Coinbase after what happened with Celsius, Voyager, Three Arrows Capital, all this FUD about people having issues withdrawing just regular coins on Coinbase. I want access to that. I don't trust centralized custodians. Oh, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to trust them, but I don't trust them anymore. And therefore, I want access to my locked coins now. So could be coming up, but you probably have to be patient. Personally, I'm not buying too much into the Coinbase is going to go under unless, in fact, the SEC is able to prove that a lot of these coins that the Coinbase is registered or is allowing for trading are unregistered securities. Or, as others are saying, the SEC is trying to say that basically all cryptos are unregistered securities, which would be a major problem for all of these exchanges. But I'm not going to be scared personally because these exchanges have made so much money. They still have I mean, I'm think about like Coinbases and the Krakens and some of these. They have huge pools of money with which to fight this out in court for some time. Yeah, this is a comment actually that came out today that's making the rounds that I guess you'd want to see, by Michael J Burpee. He was famous for The Big Short, for being one of the earliest to realize this issue that was going to be happening back in 2008 and taking a short position against what went down with the housing market and many of these securities. And so he said, pretty sure the SEC does not have the resources or the IQ points to do this correctly in regards to their investigation against Coinbase for listing those possible securities. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the SEC's plan here is, but even Cassandra is not really standing behind them, or Michael Burry, whatever you want to call him. He's Cassandra on Twitter. And Kraken, I just wanted to make you aware as well, they are being suspected of violating sanctions. Speaking of that exchange, so they've been apparently under investigation since 2019, although they won't comment on any ongoing investigations, and neither will the SEC. But this is on the New York Times, and they are apparently going to be fined soon because the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control has been investigating them for example, allowing customers to trade cryptos in Iran. And that is a big no-no since Iran is sanctioned. That's one of the main ways that a country like the U.S. tries to bully other countries, is to say that you can't have any sort of trade with that country. And so Iran is one of those. Also, I thought this was interesting at the bottom. I just wanted to show you this. Where is it? Oh, it's a little bit lower here. As of last month, Kraken appeared to still be servicing accounts in countries under sanction. So they've continued to service some of these countries just as a big, F you to, I guess, the government, the regulators, whatever you want to call them. As of last month, Kraken appeared to still be servicing accounts in countries under sanctions, such as Iran, according to a spreadsheet that Mr. Powell, Jesse Powell, the founder and CEO of Kraken, posted to a company-wide Slack channel to show where the company's customers were. He said the data came from residence information listed on verified accounts. So verified homes, proving perhaps that these are where in fact these customers are located. The spreadsheet said that Kraken had 1,522 users with residences in Iran, 149 in Syria, and 83 in Cuba, according to the figures that were apparently seen by the New York Times. So they are servicing sanctioned countries, users everywhere. Not to a huge amount, but you can see why they probably have the magnifying glass on them. And it's not too surprising. Jesse Powell has been a big proponent of freedom. He was one of the early OG Bitcoiners, founding Kraken itself, and he even moved New York. He moved out of New York, his company, when he just saw how egregious and how overly regulating New York was, moving the company over to Washington. I think that was like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know. It's crypto time. It probably was 4 years ago for all I know. But yeah, of interest, it's probably just going to be I would assume some sort of fine. It doesn't look like it's going to take down Kraken, so I wouldn't be concerned if you had funds there that they're going to be going under. But if you, for some reason, are concerned about that, I thought this news might be a matter of interest to you. Anyway, that's pretty much the show that I have for you guys. I hope that you enjoy the content. I'm trying to make them a little bit briefer so that you guys can digest the videos and not have something that's too long. But here's our quote of the day. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So thank you so much for being leaders by being early adopters, so many of you, with crypto and helping us realize that there can be better ways of transacting and creating opportunities for people when it comes to evolution of financial technology. Let's move beyond these systems that have existed for the last 100, 200 years that have been driving us where we're at, where the middle class is being destroyed day by day. They deny that we're in a recession and just outright redefine it. It's a scary time to be alive, for sure. And so I think we should be canceling the old financial system, TradFi, and getting behind the new one. And hopefully you're just excited as I am for the possibility for that to help continually more and more people over time, as I think it's already done for some folks. Hopefully there are less scammers out there. It's a shame that there are so many scammers in crypto, and that this space drives so many people through greed. There's something about greed and money that brings people here, but there's so much good as well. And I think it's important that we focus on the good and less on the bad, and looking out for each other. So that's why I bring up some of these security incidents and other things to make sure that you can stay looked out for. So I appreciate you. I love you. And I want to see you do well. Take care, everyone. Much love and stay cryptic. Peace.